Hi Shika, how are you doing?
I'm okay, just really bogged down with the operational pressures.
Is there anything in particular that's keeping you bogged down?
Nothing in particular, just the usual complaints from the agencies.
Okay, let's discuss that in a little more detail, since reducing the number of agency complaints is one of the key deliverables for you this year. I'd like to spend the next 45 minutes or so discussing things like how you performed so far, what you need to achieve to improve, and where you are falling back and what is keeping you back. I'd also like to know that if there's any way that I can support you in helping you achieve your objectives, I'm always there. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, okay.
Then let's start by switching off our mobile phones, or at least keeping it in silent mode so that we don't get disturbed.
Okay.
Is that right?
Okay.
So Shika, what's happening with respect to the agency complaints?
I spend most of my time handling agency issues. We have reduced the number of complaints as compared to last year by around 5%. But there's so many issues cropping up. Wrong ROs, ads coming on the wrong page, the size and color of the ad getting changed, editions getting missed. I'm going crazy coordinating with the various departments.
What do you think the issue is?
The issue is when agencies raise a complaint, it's not very clear who the right person to address is. There's no clear process in place. So sometimes I get emails, some people call, I even get letters. So there's no central collation of these complaints, so it's really tough to track them, address them, analyze what is pending.
So what do you think are the ways of resolving this issue?
We need to be quick in resolving agency complaints. So we should tell the agencies to send emails to whoever their contact in the company is, and the recipient of the mail should forward it to the right person, follow up and resolve it. Everyone needs to be responsible.
May I share my thoughts on this?
Okay.
I feel it may not significantly change the way we handle queries, and see, it may reduce by about 5 or 10%, but we have a huge goal of 30% reduction, which I don't think is possible with that sort of approach. And we're going to be putting unnecessary pressure on a lot of people, and I don't think it will sustain over time. So can you think of something which can structurally change the way we handle complaints so that that process can sustain over a period of time?
Well, I hadn't really thought about it from that point of view.
That's fine. I'm keen to hear your thoughts on this.
Maybe we could have a centralized complaint desk to handle all these agencies' issues. So perhaps the agencies could call in or send an email to the desk, and a complaint number could be assigned for each issue, and we could have a workflow and it could be assigned to the appropriate people. And so yeah, I think it would be easier this way to track and check on the status of the complaints. This sounds like quite an interesting idea. I'd really like to pursue it.
I agree. It's a pretty interesting idea to pursue. I think you can speak to Hemant from the supply chain team.
Okay.
I think he's working on a similar project for the vendors, something like this.
That's great. I'll get in touch with him and take this forward.
So what have you been noticing about our sales in the last 6 months?
Sales have hardly grown. Growth is under 4% as compared to the same period last year.
Yes, it is, and I'm a little concerned about it. What do you think are the key issues here?
It's the same problem which we discussed at the beginning of the year. Our clients are not getting enough ROI, so they're not giving us any business.
So what do you think the implications of the situation are for us?
This year is very critical for our northern region, and if we don't turn it around quickly, we'll become insignificant players in this market.
I agree too, my thoughts were the same. How are you addressing the situation? How's the long-term plan for agency management coming along?
I'm really trying very hard, Gopal, but I'm just not getting enough time to focus on the long-term plan.
Well, what's holding you back, Shika?
Things are not really in my control, Gopal. I have been trying to connect with the various internal and external stakeholders, but no one is cooperating. When I was working on the special project with the ED, everyone gave me their time and attention. But now that I'm part of the business division, it's not the same.
Shika, has it occurred to you that there may be certain variables which are beyond your sphere of control all the time?
Yes, I suppose so.
What could be a more effective way of looking at things?
That there are some things in my control.
Absolutely. And what would be possible if you focus on these things which are in your control?
Actually, I could have interviewed the people for their inputs. What I did was I sent them emails, and when they didn't respond, I thought they weren't willing to cooperate. They might have just been busy. So what I could do is I could go across to the other departments and talk to them, and I could meet the external stakeholders in person.
That's right. What else do you think you could have done?
Well, I could have thought of more ways in which I could enlist everybody's support. I could have sent a one-page note explaining the importance of this project and what contributions they could make to it. I could maybe have set up a teleconference with all the stakeholders and their bosses so that everyone was aligned.
Sure. What do you think was missing in your approach up to now?
I just sat back and waited for people to respond to my emails. I should have taken more initiative, and I should have thought of more innovative ways.
Time is running out on us now, Shika. We have to move fast.
Sure, Gopal, I understand the urgency of the situation.
Coming back to the issue of client ROI, how do you think we should address this?
Well, Gopal, I don't really have any concrete ideas right now. So what I was planning to do was set up meetings with clients across the city this month and then come up with a plan. I was also thinking of looking at the industry practice in such situations and try and get some learnings from our competitors' activities. I know I need to discard my operational and short-term lens and start thinking from a long-term perspective, and I really need to learn how to implement structural changes.
I cannot agree with you more. It's only that we don't have much time to implement these things. How is the long-term agency management plan coming along?
Actually, I'm a bit overwhelmed, Gopal. There's so many day-to-day operational issues, so I'm just not getting time to focus on long-term plans. So I could have everything ready in 2 months' time, but I would need 3 to 4 weeks to just focus on long-term issues. So I could delegate my workload to the team, and I could set up meetings with agencies and clients, but that would keep me very tied up. So I might not be available for meetings, and I might not respond to emails quickly. So I'd probably only handle the really critical issues.
That should be alright, but just see that you keep me updated by mail at least once a week. Now coming to the third item on your work plan, creating the alternative go-to-market strategy.
I don't really have any plans in place for that as of now, Gopal.
What is the issue, Sika?
I need to think of new ideas and bounce them off with key stakeholders.
Can I share a little feedback with you?
Sure, Gopal.
I feel you are comfortable with the operational aspects of this project, but you find the concept of an entirely new project a little unsettling. I may be wrong, but this is what I feel. What are your thoughts on this?
You're right, Gopal. I do find it very scary to think of new ideas.
What could you do to be effective in this area?
don't really know, Gopal. What do you think?
Well, for starters, it would help if you could keep your eyes and ears open when you're meeting our clients and traveling in our markets, and jot down anything, any of your observations which you feel you can do, we as a company can do differently. It may not be anything big, but it can be something which you find interesting and which is worth pursuing further. We can later have a discussion about this and see how we can work around it. Do you have any other ideas which you think will work?
Maybe we could have an ideation workshop. We could involve people from the various internal functions. I could send them a brief email telling them about what the problem is and what we are trying to do, and we could all get together and have a brainstorming session and maybe come up with some new ideas.
Sounds interesting. Okay, Shika, you need to move fast now. We barely have 6 months and we have a huge target to meet. What do you think are the key skills that you need to develop to be effective?
I need to take more initiative and meet various people from other functions, agencies, stakeholders, so that I can come up with a long-term agency plan. I need to focus more on long-term planning and how to make structural changes instead of worrying about minor operational improvements and short-term sales push for our distributors. I realized that I would normally shy away from thinking of long-term strategy because I always assumed that it would be difficult to ideate. But when we were just discussing the call center model for handling agency complaints, I realized that even I can come up with workable solutions and ideas. So I'm looking forward to getting back to my projects and working with renewed urgency.
Okay, Shika, let's meet a month from now and see how we've progressed.
Yeah, sure.
There's another issue I wanted to discuss with you actually. I met our ED marketing the other day and he was telling me that you were corresponding with him regarding certain ideas about distributor management. I'd like to point out that we have tried these ideas, most of them at least, and I would like you to come to me before you go directly to the ED. I could share my ideas and views and tell you why certain ideas worked whereas why others didn't. And at the same time, don't feel that you should not communicate directly with the ED. That's not my point at all. But if it pertains to agency management, I would like you to come to me first. Is that fine with you?
Sure, Gopal, I'll do that. Thank you for your feedback.